If you sit more than 8 hours a day for your work, well, this is the video for you. Here I have $5,000 worth of high-end ergonomic chairs. I'm sitting in the iconic Herman Miller Aeron Remastered. This is the hugely popular Steelcase Leap V2, and here's a chair that's created supposedly based on science, evidence, and research, the Anthros chair. I'm talking about chairs today because as an audio engineer turned full-time video editor, I spend so much time sitting to do my work, so I really wanted to take care of my back before it's too late. Because I'm getting old. I already don't have a TikTok account. I don't want to be like, oh, my back hurts, you know what I mean? So I've been sitting in these chairs 10, 12 hours a day doing audio mixing and mastering and editing videos for the last few weeks, and I want to share with you my honest review of the chairs and talk about why I ended up settling on the Anthros. Now, full disclosure, Anthros did send me the chair in exchange for a video, but no money exchange hands is not sponsored, and I was very clear that I share honest opinions in my videos. So I'll definitely be mentioning the weaknesses of each chair, including the Anthros. If you appreciate this approach, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. What makes the Anthros chair so unique and so good for your posture boils down to this very clever back support system where you can adjust these two support pieces independently. This sounds good in theory, but actually works way better than you think in practice. You see, we can all sit properly with proper posture like this, right? But the problem is that over time, we get tired and our pelvis starts to rotate outwards, causing slouching, which is not good for your back. The pelvic support in the Anthros directly addresses this problem. So you can sit properly and then bring in the pelvis support, and now it locks my pelvis in place, so I can't really slouch like this, right? So now I can bring in the upper back support until it holds my torso nicely. So I'm now sitting with proper posture and I'm very well supported and I won't be slouching over time. So both the Aeron and the Leap will help you sit with a proper posture, but neither of them work as well as the Anthros, and I'm going to tell you why. Aeron's PostureFit SL also aims to keep your spine at a proper S-curve by supporting your pelvis with this lower pad here, and it also has a lumbar pad for your lumbar region. You can dial in how much the pad pushes in, but not individually, and you cannot change the height. For me, the PostureFit SL just doesn't really work well at all. I'm a very skinny person, as you can see. The pads are just too small and too thin. Even at the lowest setting, I feel a jabbing sensation in my spine every now and then. And at a higher setting, it feels like my spine is resting on something hard. So I'm definitely not a fan. As a whole, I do feel that I get pretty solid back support from the Aeron's backrest, but the curve here, it's just a little bit too flat for me, so it does get uncomfortable after a while. I will say that Aeron's mesh back feels really, really good. It feels like it's conforming to your back and your movements, and it gives you a very nice suspended feeling. The Leap chair gives you the traditional lumbar support, and what people really love about it is that you can really dial in how aggressive the lumbar support is by turning this big knob here that you can reach with your right hand even while sitting, so that's very nice. You can also get this additional lumbar pad that you can slide up or down. As you can see, it's extremely clunky, but my problem with the Leap is that the lumbar curve just doesn't seem to align with my back, and the additional lumbar pad just feels very jarring on my back, so I took it out. It's actually nice that you can take it out without any tools, but now you can't really move the backrest up or down like some other chairs to change where the curve is. My back just feels sore every day sitting in this chair, even after a month. This is why I love Anthros back support system. The fact that you can move these two pads separately means that you can make the chair fit your back instead of the other way around. Throughout the day, I find myself just slightly changing the position of the two pads as I need. For example, if I get tired of sitting in this position and this posture and I want to open up my hip angle and slightly recline, I just need to move back the upper back support like this, and now I will adjust the pelvic support as I need. So now I'm still sitting with a proper posture with a S-curve on my spine, but now I have a more open hip angle and it feels very nice. let's say it's now video editing time and I'm feeling very focused. I want to sit like this, right? I naturally lean forward. But the problem is that without support over time, I'll just slouch because it's tiring. But with the Anthros, I just need to lock in my pelvis, and now I'll bring the upper back support to meet me at my back like this. And now my back is fully supported even though I'm leaning forward slightly. And so I will be able to work in this position for quite a long time without slouching. Do you see how amazing this is? It's like you get to call the shots on exactly how you want your back to be supported. It's quite liberating actually. With the Aeron's tilt, it doesn't really do that. You can open your hip angle with a leap. It's actually very nice for relaxing, and my wife is a big fan of it. Okay, now you can recline. You like this?
Yeah, this is nice.
But the problem is that now my lower back is completely unsupported. Like there's a gap here. And I feel like my posture is all wrong. And from my experience, this gets very uncomfortable after a very short while. Both the Leap and the Anthros support you via cushions, whereas the Aeron is all mesh. At the very first sit, the Leap chair will probably be the most comfy one out of the three for most people, simply because the seat is nice and the concave of the backrest cups your torso nicely. In contrast, the Aeron gives you a very firm sit.
Of the three chairs, this is the one that makes me feel like I'm at work.
I definitely wouldn't consider it comfy either, but the mesh feels really good, especially for my back. My body feels very well supported in it. It encourages me to sit with a proper posture. It's the king of mesh chair for a reason. When it comes to the Anthros, because it doesn't have a full backrest, I probably wouldn't describe it as comfy either, in that I definitely wouldn't lounge in it. And I don't think it's meant for that anyway. That said, the Anthros seat is incredible. It's hands down the most comfortable seat I've ever sat on. And I've sat on the Hayward Fern, Sodi, Soji, Embody, Mirror 2, and Cosm. None of them is as good as Anthros seat. It's probably because they actually put cutouts for your pointy sit bones to reduce pressure points. It's such a great idea, and it actually works as you think it would. Near the end of the Anthros seat, you'll see a little stitch here, and this is actually another technology they added to help with comfort. Underneath, there is a special kind of fabric called cloudtex, and from what I can understand reading Anthros blog posts, hopefully I'm not too far off, not really a science guy here, I think it helps with reducing the uncomfortable feeling of the seat stopping you from sliding, like the seat is pulling your pants or your skin. I would sometimes get this feeling in the Aeron depending on what I'm wearing, but I don't get this in the Anthros at all. They really put a lot of thoughts into this seat. Now, something I learned the hard way about ergonomic chairs and comfort is that a chair might feel comfy at first, but once you sit in it day in and day out, it's a totally different ballgame. The Anthros chair is the only one out of the three here that I can comfortably sit for long periods of time. The seat just feels really good, and being able to vary my back posture throughout the day really helps with preventing fatigue. The Aeron is actually a close second, but my back would get uncomfortable from being in the same posture after a while. And obviously you can't really vary your posture the way you can with the Anthros because you cannot change the shape of the backrest. The bottom and the sides of my thighs would also start to feel very compressed after a while because the mesh gets firmer towards the frame. When it comes to the Leap chair, I just can't sit in it for more than half an hour. It would just make my back sore no matter what adjustments I make and how I sit in it. I know many people love it, so I think my body's anatomy just doesn't gel with it. I've always read that it's good for you to move your body and stretch periodically when sitting, and the Anthros gives you the most range of motion because of the small upper back support. Even with my narrow frame, I can fully stretch my arms back, which is really nice, and I cannot do that with the Leap, and especially not the Aeron because of the wider frame at the top. I can also comfortably stretch my arms up with both the Anthros and the Leap. If I do that in the Aeron, my shoulder bones would hit the hard frame, which is painful. Another thing is that if you have things to the side of your desk that you need to reach often, like a drawer or I have a piece of audio processing unit here, both the Anthros and the Leap will allow you to easily reach them. But it's a lot more uncomfortable to do that with the Aeron because your arm might keep hitting the frame. One thing I really dislike about the Leap's backrest is that because of the curve here, I always feel like it pushes my elbows way too forward. Like, this is not very comfortable for me. This posture just kind of makes my back sore. I find the Anthros to be the best in this regard because you get the most range of motion for your elbows. And if I just relax my arms, this is how far back they sit naturally. And as you can see, it's a big difference compared to the Leap and the Aeron. The seat depth is an important factor for a good ergonomic chair because to sit with proper posture in an ergonomic chair, you need to have your butt all the way back into the chair to get proper support for your back. If the seat depth is slightly too long for your thighs, the edge of the seat will dig into the back of your knees. Or if the seat depth is way too long for you, you'll probably just be sitting like this with a huge gap behind your back, and then you'll have zero back support and you start to slouch. It's generally recommended that you want about 2 to 3 fingers gap behind your knees. The Leap chair has an adjustable seat pan that you can slide in and out to accommodate people of different heights. And thanks to that, both me and my wife, who is 5 feet tall, can comfortably sit in the Leap chair. So your butt is all the way back.
Yeah.
And then do you feel comfortable here?
Yep.
You cannot adjust the seat depth on the Aeron chair. Instead, you get to choose among 3 different sizes of the chair, but I've read that some people just don't fit well in any of the 3 sizes of the Aeron chair. The Anthros chair has no seat depth adjustment. Instead, you would sit as far into the chair as possible while leaving a little gap here, and then you bring your 2 back support pieces to support you. It's quite unconventional, but surprisingly, I find this to work much better than the Leap seat depth adjustment. You see, the problem with sliding a seat pan in or out to fit you is that the seat has a contour. It gets thinner towards the back. This is going to be an issue if you have long thighs like me. I have about 2 fingers gap here, so this is the correct seat depth adjustment for me. But the problem now is my booty is near the end of the seat, where the padding is thinner. So I can already feel that I'm bottoming out a little bit of the padding, and I'm only 118 pounds or 54 kilos. So I can only imagine that a heavier and taller person will most likely bottom out the padding on the Leap on this side of the seat. All 3 chairs have 4D armrests. You can change their height, width, depth, and pivot. The Aeron armrests technically don't have width adjustments, but because they pivot from the end, you do get quite a bit of width adjustment from it. The Leap chair's armrests are well recognized for their large adjustment range, and they're the only ones that go inward enough for me to rest my elbows on them while I'm at the desk, which is extremely nice. But out of the 3 chairs, I love Aeron's armrest the most. I really love how big they are and their shape, and the padding is just the right firmness, and just that when I rest my arm on it, it just feels really comfortable. I particularly like that the height adjustment is continuous instead of predetermined stops, because I can find the exact height where my shoulders are completely relaxed and the armrests are just slightly supporting my forearms. I'm not a huge fan of Anthros armrests, to be honest. They just don't go as close to me as the Leaps do, and so when I'm typing, my elbows are just completely unsupported. My left elbow also easily slides off the armrest because of the super rounded edges. If you have a wider frame though, you'll probably have 0 issues with the Anthros armrest. If you're a guitarist, I can tell you that you can comfortably play the guitar on both the Anthros and the Leap. You might have to pull out the seat pan on the Leap chair depending on your seat depth adjustment. And on the Anthros, the flattened design of the spokes actually makes great footstools. It's hard to play the guitar sitting in the Aeron because the guitar would hit the hard frame. The Aeron is renowned for its amazing rocking tilt mechanism, and for me, this, that is so good. This is still unmatched. The rocking motion is so incredibly smooth and light that once you find the right setting for you, you just feel like you're just floating. You said something about the Recline, about this one.
It feels very cheap.
The Anthros tilt mechanism feels smooth, but it has more of like a friction to it, so it feels more substantial. The best way I can describe it is that Aeron's tilt feels more like it's spring-loaded, whereas the tilting in the Anthros feels like you're sinking into memory foam or some smooth sand. It's still a very nice feeling, but you definitely won't feel like you're floating. You cannot tilt or rock with the Leap, but you do get to recline in it and really open up your hip angle, which is amazing for relaxing and lounging. So what I like about the Anthros is that you kind of get the best of both worlds. You can choose to only tilt and keep your posture, so like this. So I'm tilting and my posture is exactly the same, and obviously you can change the tension. But if you want, you can just recline, so I can move the upper back support back and the pelvic support. So now I'm reclining. I have a more open hip angle and it's very nice. Or if I want, I can unlock the tilt and now I'm reclining on top of tilting. This is incredibly nice. This is not something you can do with the Aeron, and it just feels really, really nice. So far, I've sung praises for the Anthros chair, but I would be lying if I told you it didn't have any flaws because, well, no chair is perfect for everyone. Just like other high-end ergonomic chairs, the Anthros is not cheap, so you deserve to know what you might not like about it. The first thing is that if you have long thighs like I do, and you prefer to have most of your thighs supported, the Anthros seat depth might not be deep enough for you. So I'm just below the average male height at 5'7", and this is how I prefer to sit in the Anthros. And now I have like about just a little bit over 3 finger worth of space behind my knees, which is nice. But you can see that my booty is already almost at the end of the seat. And you can really sit even further back because then you'll be not sitting on the sit bone cutouts. And you don't really want that because the sit bone cutouts do really make a huge difference in terms of comfort. However, because of all the things that Anthros has done to the seat design for long-term comfort and for reducing pressure points, I don't think you're gonna have a problem if you happen to have a little bit more of your thighs here unsupported. I think you'll still feel very well supported and very comfortable in the long term. The other thing is that I guess because I have a short torso, I'm missing like a chunk of the upper back support, like this much. I'm not touching it. So I can only imagine like for someone who has even shorter torso than I do, they might even miss more of it.
I like that it goes above my shoulder a little bit, but it's not as bad as that one's too tall.
If you look at the medical graphics that Anthros released, like this person can have a small gap behind his knees, but his torso is long enough to be fully in contact with the upper back support. While this is not happening with me, I still feel properly supported and comfortable, but I wish the upper back support is height adjustable. Anthros seat height also doesn't go as low as the Aerons or the Leaps. Right now, this is Anthros lowest seat height, and my feet are actually not firmly planted on the floor, which is not the most comfortable. If I go into the Aeron, not only are my feet firmly planted on the floor, it's actually too low for me. So because of this, my 5 feet tall wife, she can sit in the Aeron and the Leap and have both of her feet firmly planted on the floor, but not the Anthros. The Anthros does come with a footrest, but after trying out 4 different footrests, including Anthros, I just find that nothing really beats having your feet on the floor. I did mention this to Anthros and they seem very receptive of the feedback, so I wouldn't be surprised if they release a different cylinder in the future to accommodate shorter people. I also think that the pelvic support pad could have some more height to it, simply because despite the thick cushion, it can still feel like it's a thin bar pressing against my pelvis. It's not uncomfortable, it's actually very comfortable because of the very thick cushion. But when my wife sat in it, she immediately noped out of it because she's so used to chairs that support your entire back. I think a pelvic support pad that covers more vertical area might help more new users get used to the two-piece back support system. All 3 chairs are very expensive. The Anthros cost about $1,850 or $200 less with my link. The Aeron costs just over $1,800 and the Leap chair costs about $1,300. All of them come with a 12-year warranty, so the high price tag averages out to less than $200 a year. If you spend a lot of time sitting, I think it's worth investing in a chair that can help prevent back problems. I mean, medical bills can get way more expensive than that, and who wants chronic back pain anyway? As a word of caution, Anthros is relatively new as a company, so the jury is still out how good their warranty service is. Only time can tell. All 3 chairs also have a 30-day return policy. However, as of the making of this video, Anthros considers international orders as final sale and therefore ineligible for returns. Well, luckily, if you live in Canada like I do, you can return it, but they will dock $200 off the refund, presumably for the extra shipping cost. After testing these 3 chairs extensively and trying out many others, the Anthros chair is what I ended up choosing as my daily driver. I think it's a great chair if you sit a lot and you're committed to sitting with a proper posture. The 2-piece back support system really allows you to sit properly in many different ways. The Aeron is actually a close second for me when it comes to promoting a healthy posture. It's notorious for forcing you to sit with a proper posture and punishing you if you don't. As a result, it's a much less accommodating chair and people either love it or hate it. If you want a more well-rounded chair that you can relax and lounge in and you care less about posture, then I think the Leap might fit your bill.
I'm getting my tan.
Yeah, getting your tan?
Mm-hmm.
Lastly, unless you know exactly what you want, I always recommend buying your chair from a place with a good and trusted return policy. That's it for the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and check out the description below for links and discounts. Sit properly out there, and I'll see you next time.